on behalf of the filmmakers, the cast, the crew, I want to say thank you guys for supporting independent movies, right? The studios have a lot harder, a lot easier time to get to these theaters, and we are going to take over, okay? All right? So without further ado, let me introduce the writers and directors of Namaslay, Rish and Kanish.
Actually, I shouldn't do that. I just hurt my knee. Thanks, Gio. That was a pretty awesome intro. I'm really happy you did that.
Thank you for having me. Guys, you guys have been watching movies in theaters your whole life. And now a movie that you made is in theaters. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, it's pretty fucking insane.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's honestly a dream come true, and I mean this is the first Q&A we're doing for the movie, and this is the first audience for the movie, so we're really thrilled that you all made it out here, and we just wanted to express our profound gratitude, first of all, that you came out of your way to see the movie. However you heard about it, it's really moving to us, and we felt super grounded and propelled by our community, which starts here in Los Angeles. So thank you, first of all, for coming.
How do you feel?
Very good. I feel awesome. And we are really upheld and uplifted by all the members of our community. It is because of all of you that not only this movie exists, but every movie exists. If you were not showing up, sometimes in the industry they say butts in seats. That's like, they use that term in like business meetings and such. If you were not putting your butts in these seats, movies would not exist. So we are eternally grateful for your time and for your faith. And that's why this movie is up here. That's why I feel very good.
Fantastic. I have some questions here, but then after I'm done with them, we'll move it on to you guys for your questions, so keep it thinking, okay? My first question, right, how did the concept of this movie come out? From what I know, this is like the first ever yoga movie, right? What is your personal relationship to yoga?
So we, I guess there's like 3 aspects to the genesis of this movie. One is our mom practiced yoga for quite some time, and her yoga practice was actually a lot like the grandmother character Party in the movie. It was like a holistic practice. But when she tried to teach, actually she was approached to teach here in the US, she had a moment that was like sort of like that moment in the movie where Gayatri is like, she's like explaining Surya Namaskar, and then Reina is like, let's just focus on the poses. Our mom had that moment. Our mom is a lot more incendiary than Gayatri is, so when that happened to her, she was like, well, fuck you, I'm not fucking doing this at all. And so she quit that. So that's one. One other thing is our dad, he tried to join a yoga studio, and our parents are separated, so this happened like separately. He tried to join a yoga studio in the Bay Area, and they told him, and he showed up wearing basketball shorts, and they were like, sorry, sir, you can't be in this class unless you have the correct attire, which, of course, is conveniently sold at our shop over here. So all that stuff is Stuart. That's pretty much our dad's experience with yoga. And then I used to lift weights a lot, and then I got injured. I had a shoulder injury, so I couldn't do that for a long time. So then I started doing my own yoga practice, but the yoga that I found online, I was looking on YouTube for like instructional videos. That was before we knew about people like Tejal. So shout out to Tejal, who's here with us.
Yeah, just to talk about Tejal for a second, and Tejal Yoga, just to put her on the spot. There's been people like Tejal, Susanna Bargataki, a lot of people in the yoga, the yoga advocacy community who have identified this yoga industrial complex. and called it out. And when we were writing the film, we felt a lot of solidarity with folks like Tejal, who raised an eyebrow at some of these things, and that was also very affirming because we realized that, as you said, Sheil, there hasn't really been a film about yoga in the same way that there's been like, The Karate Kid as like a karate movie, or however many like martial arts or like practices that are as ubiquitous as yoga, even like in the sports genre. But having Tejal to rely on, Tejal ultimately became our yoga coordinator in the film and guided us through, what resonated with her, especially from experiences leading yoga practices. So that was also a really big part of it. And then I would say the seed of the idea for the entire film was just like yoga horror. Like that just felt to us like a pretty obvious thing. There's a lot of strange aspects of the westernized practices of yoga, and the cultural appropriation as horror. When we would have conversations with our friends about, this is kind of weird what's happening with yoga in particular, just like with any sort of cultural appropriation, the conversations would always end in a stalemate of like, so like, who should be allowed to do yoga? Should it only be South Asians, or how should the parameters be set? And to us, it just felt, as you all can tell now, best expressed through a film, best felt through a story rather than explained by us in an article.
That's great. That's great.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, man.
The guy's also one of our best friends, and he played waiter in the movie.
Yeah.
Y'all guys made the order. It's killing it.
Scene stealer.
You guys describe Namaslay as a masala film, and to audiences that might be a newer term. So could you kind of explain what a masala film is and what excites you about introducing audiences to that cinematic language?
Yeah, so Kanish and I grew up in the Bay Area, and we had a lot of access to South Asian cinema, Indian cinema from across the country and like across time. We had access to, I'm sure there's other people in here as well who had access to like subtitled DVD, right? Like we would go to the grocery store, and on your way out, you could it would be $1 to rent, $2 to buy one of these DVDs. And that was like really an access point. It was like our education in film in many ways. Just as much as we saw American films, we watched many of these Indian films, and we became really fascinated by this movement that really exploded during the 1970s. These writers, Salim Javed in particular, huge inspirations to us. Salim Khan and Javed Akhtar, and they really, they wrote films like Sholay, Diwar, even Mr. India, which was one of our favorite films growing up. So these films always, to us, like, they were just movies, obviously, when we were kids. We weren't really, like, thinking in genre parameters, but they were just, like, a whole meal of a story. Like, they were funny, and they were sincere, and they were action-packed, and all of these things. Like, there's an expectation, I think, with Indian cinema that, you work really hard for your paycheck, and when you go to see a movie, like, you want to get your money's worth. You want to get a valuable experience. And so we, in trying to pitch this movie early on, we were often kind of hamstrung by these like this industry folklore. Like, what is the genre of the movie? Like, is it a comedy? Is it a horror movie? Like, pick a lane. And for us, it was always just like, well, it's Namaslay, and it's a lot of these things. So we started to rely on masala as a genre framework, and we initially were pitching in and recruiting people based on this idea of like horror satire, but then even for department heads, and some of our department heads are here also, by the way.
Shout out.
Audrey is here. What a score from Audrey. An incredible score. Our cinematographer, Senator Neil. Many of our department heads who are South Asian, and some of whom are not South Asian, they all started to understand when we explained this film as a masala film, like, oh, okay, like the funny scenes, like, you are trying to make me laugh. The scary scenes, you're trying to scare me. Like, you're trying to do all of these things, and you're not just trying to sit in one lane. So that's that became a point of pride for us, that like we can I think if a lot more people understood, while it's not all encompassing of Indian cinema, if a lot more people, to the extent that it even matters, understood what masala cinema is, it just provides an access point to this whole history of Indian films. Yeah, that's really exciting for us. Okay.
Fantastic. You've been describing Namaslay as a farm-to-table movie, right, in your social media marketing. What do you mean by that? And how do you feel audiences can best support this film?
What we mean by that is that every element of the movie is fresh, hand-selected, and approved personally by me and Rish. From the kitchen to your plate. But it's true, there is no aspect of the movie, even now, with the marketing and the distribution of the movie, like, this is merchandise that we have for sale on our website. We made this. We don't have any, like, I mean, we do have team members who are helping us, but there's no, like, anonymous machine. Sorry, this guy's sitting down here and he's going like this, and he's pointing the camera up at it. We look at every single part of the movie, and that starts with the script. When it's just me and Rish, we discuss every word that we write in the screenplay. Sometimes we go back and forth for hours, like this should be this word, no, it should be this word. And then we extend that meticulousness to all parts of the movie, from the score to the visual effects, the cinematography. We looked at every hairstyle, every makeup look, every costume, every piece of production design, every location scout, we went on it, and it's because we love to do this. This shit is just so awesome. Being a filmmaker is like, it is such an electrifying, invigorating experience. And I hope that you can feel that when we serve to you this movie. Because, thank you, that's awesome, thank you. You really care about this, it's so awesome. And you, the audience, you come here and you spend your time and your money, you deserve something that has been meticulously crafted for you to the highest quality. Sometimes when we see like really big, like $100 or $200 million movies, and they're shit, I actually feel angry when I see those movies. Because like, obviously like outside the entertainment industry, that's a fuck ton of money, that's so much money, right? That could be done for so many other things. But even in this industry, there are so many artists who are not so lucky as us, who don't have the opportunity to make a movie. And these $200 million movies don't give a shit about the time or the money of the audience. They just put whatever trash they want to out there, and they're like, oh, well, they're gonna pay for it, who cares? We're gonna sell them big gulps, and they're gonna come to our parks, or whatever. They don't care about the story, the craft. So I feel like my soapbox is getting too tall here, so I'll just say that like, farm to table movie, it means that we really love this, and we care about making something good for you.
Let's get up for passion. Let's go.
Yeah, that's my older brother, so that raised me, what you just saw.
And also how they can support the movie.
Oh yeah, and how y'all can support the movie more than anything, we are relying heavily on word of mouth. So this first weekend, we're just starting in Los Angeles and New York, and you kind of, when you expand with theaters, they basically watch to see like, how are you doing in these first few markets? How do you do in Los Angeles? How do you do in New York? And based on that, they'll sort of project, okay, we can expand into the theater chains, this one and other chains. Like they'll kind of look at these reactions and the numbers throughout the weekend, and they'll say like, okay, well, do people want to see this movie or movies like this at all? And it has honestly been a fight. Like the other thing with farm to table movies is like, it feels as a writer, as an artist, I think in this particular industry, like you have to get permission from someone, and it's almost a cliche, like don't wait for permission, but like you really obviously feel like the heat of that. Like I need some production company, or I need some distributor, or I need just somebody to be like, hey, like here's the keys to the car. But if you build the car, you also get to drive it. And so we learned more than anything over the course of this movie that like, even though it's more work along the way for us to just like figure a lot of this stuff out, it's really rewarding and it's ultimately powered by the audience. Ultimately, the audience decides. So if y'all like the movie, we implore you to please tell everyone you know to go see it, to see it multiple times. If y'all got A-list, swipe that shit. It really helps us, and we really believe that this can start a movement. There's already been a handful of successes as far as independent cinema, and there's like a burgeoning movement for independent films. And we really feel like if we can show these theaters that audiences, real people like y'all, will go out into the city and watch a movie in a theater and tell their friends, then like it truly can happen for anyone. Like you truly can just make the thing you want to make and deliver it directly to an audience, and the people will come. So please tell everyone you know, spread the word of mouth, hashtag slay it forward.
Also, please follow at Jungle Studios.
Yeah, Jungle Studios, yeah.
I want to pass it off to the audience. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Yes.
I really like the movie, and also my mom's a yoga instructor, so she's gonna just eat this up.
That's awesome.
But what I wanted to ask was, you were mentioning before how like there were themes that shaped this movie, such as like when it pertains to yoga, kind of like consumer capitalism, or consumer culture, stripping a cultural practice of its rootedness to the earth and like the people and the community. But upon like closer inspection, I feel like there's like quite a few themes that are in this movie that are like super relevant. Like for example, like the idea of like resisting assimilation, which I thought was really cool, and also Orientalism and the way it kind of manifests, especially among white people in America. So I wanted to like ask, was there a moment in your lives where you thought, okay, this is a bridge too far, I gotta include these themes in a movie, even if it was this one?
I think that all of the things that you identified ultimately are like what you are hearing is the grinding of the gears of the machine of capitalism. When we are people who are not steering the machine, the grinding is very loud, and it is not only one sound. It is like a cacophony. There are many sounds that you are hearing all the time of the machine grinding away at you. So like some of the things that you said, like the pressure to assimilate. Why do we have to assimilate in a place that is not our homeland so that we can survive the machine of capitalism, right? There are, I think, other secondary sources of the things that you described, but so much of what you said is like stemming from the capitalist machine. And that's why in this movie, we have things like when Gayatri's at the shop and they ask her if she wants a bag. And it's like, the bag is like $30. Okay, no thanks. I don't want the bag. That doesn't have to do with her being a person of color or her relationship with yoga at all. But it is woven in with how we call the yoga industrial complex, right? So it's like, this is our culture, and it has been taken and fed into the gears of capitalism. And now it is not only that we are angry about that, about us being crunched by the gears, but it is also that the sound of the gears is so fucking annoying, right? Like, as if it wasn't enough that my bones were being snapped by the gears. It is also that as they are being snapped, this annoying tone is playing in my ears. So I think that's like one of the reasons why we put that stuff in the movie.
And I guess to give you an example, like you asked, did it happen even on this movie or it was a bridge too far? I mean, one example of just like, when we were trying to get this movie made, initially it was a script, and we tried to pitch the script to production companies or, at agencies, like to get someone to attach themselves to it, and then it gets made. And the conversations very quickly turned into, okay, who can we cast to play Reina? And then based on who plays Reina, maybe that person can direct the movie even, because that's probably, which, I mean,
Dude, how could that be? What the fuck?
but I'm serious, like, I mean, literally, like, that's like what, like, big agencies, big production companies would be like, okay, like, let's build a movie around Reina, we'll build, you know, a whole package, they call it packaging, right? And it's like, let's build a whole package, the most powerful movie, like, who the hell are you guys, Rish Kanish, like, the names rhyme, cool, but we don't give a shit.
But now you know who we are.
We love the names, but we need to find someone to kind of take it from here, kids. And that was, you know, that was a very loud voice that, you know, the industry was screaming at us. And we, well, just like, you know, Gayatri in the movie, like, ultimately the lesson of, like, don't bend, like Bhatti says, like, you don't have to bend, and, you know, you have enough, and you can trust your roots and your practice and your own integrity. Like, we, when it came to that, we just said, okay, like, if it has to be smaller, scrappier, like, we have to rely a lot on people who are new. A lot of our department heads were, you know, it was their first feature or close to their first feature, and, you know, they took a flyer on us. So I think it was just the idea that, you know, if you don't, if the system doesn't accept you, it might be a sign that you should
Smash it.
Thank you for the question. That was a really good question.
Yes.
Congratulations on making the film. I just want to point out first, before I get to my question, it's very rare to see two male filmmakers make a film that doesn't just pass the Bechdel test, but like destroys it. What made you make such a female-centered film? I think there was like literally one screen.
He's sitting right here.
Two.
So I just wanted to point that out because I don't know if everybody got that, but I did, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
There you go.
That is a question that came up pretty early. Like, when we first had the idea for the movie, we knew immediately that the protagonist and the antagonists, they had to be women. And as we learn more about this space in the West, it became quite manifest that it's a predominantly female space. So we wanted to represent that space authentically, but we also wanted to make sure, so like in an effort to do that, we had a lot of conversations with various women in our lives, our family members, of course, friends, other yoga practitioners, and we also wanted to show and write about intersectionality. It's really important, I think, and is almost always lost in movies, that we are all a combination of many different identities. And one interesting thing about making this movie a predominantly female-driven movie is that we can show that they have other identities. Like, Gayatri is a person who stutters, she's also Tamil American, Judy's white, and then there's also differences in age. I couldn't think of any other identifiers for her. I guess, like,
There are others.
I guess there are other. I mean, she's an ally to Gayatri. I guess that's the identity of hers until the end. But yeah, like showing how all of those identities interact with each other, it makes for quite interesting storytelling. And that is how I realized, I think everyone in this room can understand that just because someone is a part of one same identity group as you, it doesn't always mean that they're your friend, right? So,
Yeah, and I think that is just the idea. The fundamental idea of representation is just like, did these people try? Like, did they actually like put in an effort with sensitivity and curiosity to tell this specific story? So, to us, it was just like my brother said, it was the only way this story ever made sense in our heads is with all these women, and yeah, it was awesome.
Great question. Great question.
Thanks for the
In
question.
the back.
What was your favorite day of filming?
Oh, so many days.
And scariest.
Yeah, or
dude, we cannot talk about this. This guy's the Steadicam operator on the movie, Raphael. He kind of bait us into saying bad stories about the movie. I mean, cannot talk about that, bro. Yeah.
our cinematographer, I'm gonna put him on the spot. Our cinematographer is in the back right there. So,
Legend. A young master.
think my favorite day on set was there's a shot towards the climax of the movie in hot yoga. We call the shot the radial zolly. It's the shot where Gayatri has her big realization of what's happening and kind of looks like the room is spinning. And that is, we call it the radial zolly because it's a combination of a dolly zoom, which y'all might know from like Jaws, and like kind of like the Spike Lee shot of like when the camera moves kind of laterally, but we moved it like in a radial motion. And that was a shot that like we had actually put in the script. Like we wrote this, we don't write every shot in the script, and you know, someone with Neil Chatterjee, once again, genius cinematographer, so he taught us a lot about cameras and where they go and how to move them beautifully and all that stuff. But this one shot in the script, we had just imagined. And when we were on set, it was actually that we were resetting the shot. I think it was our 4th day on set, which was also our 4th day on the job as directors, because this is our first feature film. And we had all of the craziest stuff was in the first week, like all of hot yoga, the explosion, like the ayahuasca sequence. We shot it in like a half day, basically, like in the first week. Just all the like, you know, all the most intense, technically challenging stuff we had on. But when I saw that shot on the monitor, when the camera was resetting, and it was like the way it was moving and the way our lead who plays Gayatri, Kiran Srikanth Talam, who's also awesome, she, like, it was just, this is the character, this is the movie that we dreamed of, this is the shot, and it was like the most concrete I've ever felt in my life of like, you can realize a dream. Like this was a line on a piece of paper and I can see it on that screen, and we're making the movie that we wanted to make.
And the scariest day, a lot of the days, like when you are a filmmaker on set, your biggest enemy is the clock. So like, as soon as we start at the top of the day, we're running out of time. Which is pretty, I mean, that's how it goes. So there was a number of days when, like, I check my watch at lunch and it's like, what the hell, we have so many more shots we have to do and we have such little time. So to that end, the dungeon day, all that stuff that we shot in that room that we call the dungeons, like underground, that whole thing was only one day, and that was a real push for a number of reasons. And we were very close to the clock, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we get the shots that we need to get. So when we had Angela, who plays Judy, like crush that thing in her hand, that's one take. There's so much shit in this that's like only one take. We only have time for one take. So we had to get it, and we got it. So that thing is like, okay, we only have one of these. And at first there's some conversation about like, I don't know if she should like, not from us, but it's like, I don't know if she should like crush it in her hand, she should like smash it on the table. And we were like, no. She just drank the blood, so she has attained the superhuman strength. It will only make sense if you see her crush it in her hand. So then everyone was like, okay, let's do it. And then she did that shit, and you can see that in the movie. That's no visual effects in that shot. She just fucking crushed that shit in her hand, exploded like that. And sugar glass obviously is like safe, like most getting hurt. But that's like so awesome. So even on the toughest days, we still had so many moments like that where it's like, yes, we did it.
Thanks for the question.
Yes, right here.
First off, I really enjoyed the film. It was really a bit of concept. For me, I think the part that I really enjoyed was the bit where, like, I think you said it, it's like the drunk yoga sequence, and it goes into like supernatural.
Ayahuasca, yeah.
And you have that. Sorry, I don't know the name.
No.
And then you have like the Bharatanatyam sort of dance. What were your like film inspirations for that part? Because it kind of brought me back to a lot of films I enjoyed growing up.
That's awesome. I mean, all of our Tamil friends instantly recognize Chandramukhi as a reference, so that's one. I think there's a lot in Indian cinema that inspired that. So like Mani Chitrata is the our set piece version of some of those with like a horror angle. And even like video games were like a huge inspiration to us. Like my brother can speak to, he's like a huge gamer, Kanish, so we are very, influenced by video games, and there's a lot in the way that we shot that sequence and conceived that sequence that was like, even just like the way the sound pans. Like I'm sure y'all might have noticed, like there's like sound coming from like different areas because it's like a hallucination sequence. And
in video games, the sound I think is a lot more spatial than in movies sometimes, because you control the camera yourself. So the sound has to respond to how you change the perspective. That's something that we also wanted to bring into that sequence, like especially when we're still in the reflection room and the mirrors, like you see the mirrors, the sound is going like all the way around the room and it really makes your head spin. So that's something that we took from video games as well.
Yeah, and then there's just I guess a couple other Indian films like Nagin, actually, that with Sri Devi, our costume designer Una, she identified that as, or that was one thing that she was really influenced by when she read the script. So yeah, a lot of stuff informed it, but I'm glad that resonated. Thanks.
Awesome question.
I think we have time for one last question. Perfect, right here.
Hi, my name is Rocky. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really great, and I loved the masala inspirations you guys had. It was really, really awesome. My question is, I'm a screenwriter, and so I'm very curious on the writing side. When did you decide with the script, especially what you were mentioning with being very meticulous about certain lines and certain scenes and all the details? When did you decide you were like, this script is ready for eyes that aren't ours, and it's ready to see the world?
Well, in that particular department, my brother and I are exceptionally lucky that we have each other. So, but I'll give you some advice that can help you in this same way. We have a relationship where it's like there's no ego between either of us. So there have been moments where like he has written something and then he sends me the draft and then I just delete like a few pages. And I'll write something else. I don't think he does that as much for me because he's a bit nicer about it, but
he's my older brother once again.
Sometimes he'll send me something and I just like highlight and I'm like, alright, can write something else. But then it's like he did the first version of it, so it's, as you know as a writer, 0 to 1 is the hardest. But with that in mind, like since we have no ego between us, it's like we don't care at all about sending each other something which is unfinished. Because I already know I'm gonna send it to him, and I've sent him so many things where it's like kind of an idea, and I put the bones and then I just give it to him. Because I can feel in myself that like, okay, I have exhausted how much I can write of this, and now I'm gonna give it over to him. So I think for you and like for any other writer, the answer is you don't know when it's like fully ready to show to someone else for the first time. You just have to show it. And it's really important to remember also, some artists think that, and actually a lot of people whom we ask to read our stuff, they'll say that, oh, I don't know anything about screenplays. I don't know anything about writing. But that's actually good. You don't want someone who has read like 10,000, scripts and they're so jaded and they're tired of it, whatever. It's good if you show your script to people from all walks of life in your life. As soon as you feel like there's like, honestly, like it doesn't even have to be a finished first draft. If you write something like 1 page and you're like, okay, I don't know if this is anything, but I'm gonna send it to my mom and see what she thinks. We don't do that, but someone else can do that. Even that is like something, because as soon as someone else gives you like just a snippet of an idea, they're helping you build up something greater. And I'll just add on to that one caveat, which we learned pretty early on as writers. Some people are good at giving notes and some are not. And the way to identify that, very easy. The people who are shit at giving notes, they just say, oh, you should write this instead of that. The good notes are the ones where the reader understands what you want to say, and they are helping you sharpen what you want to say.
Yeah, I'll just say I think it's ready when you can see the pictures and you can explain them, because that's all that directing is ultimately like you have a vision and you articulate that vision to all of your department heads. And so like as a screenwriter, it's the same thing. It's like if you feel like it's articulating what's in your head clearly enough, you can sharpen what that is. But I think that's when it's like ready to show. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Hope to see your name on the big screen. What's your name? Rocky?
Rocky, yeah.
Rocky, yeah. Everybody look out for a movie from Rock next year. All right.
I want to thank you guys so much for coming out.
Thank you so much.
Yell.
And don't forget to tell all your friends and family about this movie. We are counting on you. Thank you.